if I told my mama, I got to slap you to win. And she said, son, is that going to help you close the sale? I said, yes, ma'am. She said, go ahead and slap me. Go ahead and slap me. You do anything you can to win. Understand that. Understand that. There's nothing, nothing more important than winning elections. Okay, this is one I've worked on for a long time. I don't know if anybody will watch it, but it's important for me to get it on the record here. Okay? Welcome to all our YouTube Politicon fans. Take a little bit of a different direction today. I want to talk about 2028. Wait a minute, what are you doing? Yeah, I want to talk about 2028, election year. And I want to establish right now some principles. The main principle I want to establish is taken off the title of the documentary. It's it's about winning, stupid. Winning, and nothing else. We learned some lessons in this campaign. And to what extent should a person go to try to win an election? My view is that you would do anything other than break the law. So in my culture, in Louisiana culture, there's nothing more exalted than motherhood. We have this, I don't know if it has to do with like Catholic background or reverence for the Virgin Mary. I have no idea. And when you want to make a point in Louisiana that something is so good or so bad, there's an expression you use, make you slap your mama. Okay, I want to show you. This is a seasoning called slap your mama. It's actually pretty good. You can. It's pretty generally available now. In other places, it comes out of a town called Ville Platte, Louisiana, which is an Evangeline parish. But at any rate, so you say, well, James, you do anything to win. You had this wonderful relationship with your mother, mutual idolatry, which a lot of mothers and sons have in Louisiana. In the documentary, and would you slap your mama to win an election? Of course I would. And you know what else? If I told my mama, I got to slap you to win. And she said, son, is that going to help you close the sale? I said, yes, ma'am. She said, go ahead and slap me. Go ahead and slap me. You do anything you can to win. Understand that. Understand that. There's nothing more important than winning elections. I go to great lengths to explain that, but I have to do that because we forget it. So I'm going to expand on this somewhat, but there was the great moment on The View with Vice President Harris, and she was asked by, I think, Sonny Houston, I'm not a big View viewer, but it seems to me to be a pretty good show, pretty influential. And she said, what would you have done different than President Biden? Now, understand, said it before, but I got to reemphasize it because it's such a teaching moment. In her mind, she did not want to be disloyal to President Biden. That he had given her opportunity, had picked her as vice president, had arranged his exit from the race in a way that, frankly, gave Democrats no alternative but to rally behind Vice President Harris's campaign. In other words, he set the whole thing up. I don't want to, I hate to say this because I like him, but Joe Biden stands over this catastrophe like a colossus. All right. But at any rate, she was presented with the answer to the question that you should most want, the question that everybody had on their mind. And she chose loyalty over winning. Now, I'm sure that there are people, and good people, reasonable people, ethical people that say, James, you shouldn't throw somebody in the ditch that made your career. Bullshit. Bullshit. All right? This is the one question that you exist to answer. So there can't be any conflict with anything that wins an election. Nothing. Not relationships, not conflicted loyalties, not anything. Because if you're playing by one rule and they playing by another rule, and your rule is wimpier than their rule, then they're going to beat you. I don't know how else to say this. It sounds so crude, so rude, so political, so unsophisticated. Okay, nothing in politics is more important than winning. So let's go to some things that we saw in this campaign. And some, I'm going to be very clear, we had no choice. But in spite of that, the lessons remain. So I want to address our potential 2028 candidates. I know a lot of you. One of the things that I found most frustrating is I believe that the talent that exists in the current Democratic Party today in the United States is the highest level of talent I've seen in any political party anywhere in my lifetime. So if any of you are listening, I'm going to sort of give you some advice. Some of you will call, ask me, and I want to easily refer this tape. And by the way, the 2028 nomination is going to be worth a lot. Unless we screw it up like only we can do, we should have the presidency back. If there's a country in 2028, I don't want to get in the predicting business here, but let's just assume that there is. My first recommendation to you is pick your own people. That's right. Don't go back and get the latest trendy thing, the latest fad, because Vice President Harris, she was encumbered by a lot of things. She had Biden people. All right. Her campaign manager was Biden's campaign manager. Her headquarters stayed in Wilmington. They didn't change the furniture. They didn't change the artwork. And to ask people like Miss Dillon, whose whole career she owes to President Biden, and it's a wonderful relationship. I respect that. But no wonder you couldn't answer the question how you were different, because you didn't have your own people. They gave you the keys to their car. So don't, and I get along well with the Obama people in Vax and in Messina. Uh, these guys are friends of mine. I think I would say very comfortably we have mutual respect for it. But I'm not an Obama person. I'm a Clinton person. Obama would never, it would be really stupid to have me as part of the campaign, because you have to have your own people. You have to understand that. Sometimes in politics, people want to chase the latest trend or the latest idea of someone that did that. No, no, because whoever the creator of that idea, that trend is, they have a loyalty somewhere else. They probably made money. They don't give a shit about you. You want hungry people around you that care about one thing, you and you winning. And that's all that matters. So let's talk about other conflict and loyalties here and other things that run campaigns. All right. This is two pieces of advice I'm going to give, and I'm very confident in both of them. Do not have your headquarters in Washington, D.C., or anywhere in the Washington Metroplex or whatever the fuck they call it. Be a plane ride ahead. Preferably, you have to change planes to get where you are. Because let me tell you something about these Washington assholes. They're not going to leave Northwest Washington. They're not going to leave the Cosmos Club or whatever the fuck they go to. So get away from them as much as you possibly can. The second one, It'll be controversial, but I'm going to tell you right now, no lobbyist. None, zero, de nada. To be a lobbyist is to be conflicted. Sometimes you learn lessons from other people. Whatever you think of George W. Bush, okay, not my intent to tell you what I think of him, but you pretty good guess. When Carl Rove went to work for him, he says, you can't have any other clients. You got to get rid of them all. Because Bush maybe was smarter than you think. He knew that there could be no conflict. So, and I like David Plouffe. I know him modestly. His reputation is very good. He's somebody that I would automatically have respect for. He's actually kind of state school guy. He's got a really cool wife. And he worked for Uber. And I guess he got a leave of absence. Well, you're conflicted, dude. You're conflicted. Do you understand like how many issues that Uber has? I don't take it. I like Uber. I have them on my what do you call it? Your app. I use them. I find them to be punctual and clean and a invaluable service that they offer. But they got issues, man. How do you classify employees if they're contractors? I don't even want to get into it. Just like I've been with Palantir for the last, I don't know, 14 years. Well, I'm going to be loyal to Palantir because that's just the way that people are. I'm not going to, my agent don't have to worry. I'm not going to be doing it in the campaign. But no conflicting loyalties, period. And they're going to come in and say, oh, no, the lobbyists are all the talented people. They're very talented people. They make a very good living. I don't have anything against it. I don't think it's any less than honorable way to make a living. But you're not in the fucking political advice business because you, my friend, are compromised from day one. So don't make anybody that works for you do an exhaustive search to make sure that their single loyalty is to you and you winning the election. And just that. Nothing else. All right. We keep making that error. We go back and we find someone from the last campaign we think is smarter than the campaign before the last campaign. And of course, these people come in, they don't give a shit about you. I'll let you imagine the examples that I'm thinking of, but move on, we shall. So, a couple of things I learned early in my life. You have to practice and you have to create your own moment. I go back to the Harris moment on The View because I think it in a kind of rabbinical teaching moment way, its value is just stunning. So I was just starting in politics. It was for late start, admit that. I was at the 1984 Democratic Convention, San Francisco. It was actually going to be 40 that October. But that's the first convention I went to. I was excited. There's nothing wrong with that. Why wouldn't you? First convention. And so I was working for the Senate candidate in Texas who got slaughtered. Okay. But I had a kind of all access pass. Who got it for me, but somebody did. And I went to the convention hall. It was like 10 o'clock in the morning, but I was just kind of excited to see what it looked like. I'd never been in a convention hall. I can remember, what was his name? Frank Clement's address to the 1956 Democratic Convention, the keynote. I can remember all of them. Might have been somebody else. And there were some kind of custodial people and moving chairs around and sweeping around, getting everything straight. And on the podium, and there's Mario Cuomo. And he's giving the keynote address that night. And he's practicing. He don't give a shit. He's looking at the teleprompter. He's doing timing. He's making sure he got his lines just right. Make sure what he says right. He's practicing. And I was watching him and maybe two other people. To him, we didn't even exist. And that taught me a lesson. You have to practice, practice, practice. And one of the great things that great politicians have or a sense of timing, a sense of what lines are going to work, what lines will work. And, if I were Harris's campaign manager, I would have made her answer that question, what do you do different than Biden, 20 times a day. I would have had the travel aide who sat in the back seat with her, sat on the airplane with her. Just keep asking her, keep practicing that answer. For whatever reason, they didn't do that. But you got to create your own moment. And you cannot talk, it has to be distinctive. And to some extent, it helps to be counterintuitive. And the best way to pick a moment is to say, what could I say that would most likely piss off NPR and Washington advocacy groups? And if that's your test, you're going to succeed every time. Every fucking time you're going to succeed. So I remember in the Clinton campaign, we created our own moment. It was called the Sister Soldier moment. Okay. It worked. All right. It just did. That pissed off NPR, pissed off progressive advocacy groups, it pissed off everything. I saw my own experience. I'll give you an example. Is I saw in March of this year, we were hemorrhaging male voters. And no one would say anything. And I was trying to draw attention to it. So I told Maureen Dowd that I thought the problem with Democratic campaign culture was they were, quote, too many preachy females, unquote. Well, you had the usual fucking eruption from Washington progressive interest groups. But you know what's happened since the election? Nobody said, James, you were wrong. I had people come up to me and say, man, you brought attention to that problem. That you can't use their sanitized language to make a point. What I'm trying to say to you is you have to cut against the grain if you want to be heard. You have to create your own moments. And I know, and there's this kind of big post-mortem, I can't stand the W word. I call it identity politics. You can imagine what I think the W word. It sickens me to even use it because the word is so noble and so glorious in its origin, and it was mostly by musicians, black musicians, Ledbetter, saying that it was advisable in the 20s or 30s, whenever it was, for black people to be aware of the interactions with police. And of course, overeducated white people, NPR people got a hold of the word, and it, of course, ruined it for fucking everybody. And so the discussion now, I saw Bill Maher, I saw Jon Stewart, I saw different people in. Did it hurt us? Of course it hurt us. And so Jon Stewart says, well, it couldn't have hurt because no Democrat ran on it. Of course they didn't run on it because it was, even to the most clueless progressive that you could imagine by that time, they knew it was a disaster. So in order to escape any responsibility of what happened, they said, well, that stuff was never used in 2024. Well, you're fucking wrong. It was used. See, in politics, in comedy, if you tell a bad joke, who gives a shit? You just tell a bad joke and you throw the bad joke away. In politics, if you have a bad policy, particularly one as bad and stupid as this was, you may throw it away, but the other side gets to play. Understand that. This is a two-sided thing. And look at the number of ads they ran against Senate candidates, right? Senator-elect Slutman in Michigan said just as plainly as he can, we need to stop using the language of the faculty lounge. Gee, I wonder where she got that phrase from, and start using the language of the shop floor. Good idea, Senator. Thank you. You went through it. Go and ask the progressive dream. Oh boy, you got rid of all the moderate white males. Great job. You got rid of Senator Manchin. You got rid of Senator Casey. You got rid of Senator Brown. You got rid of Senator Tester. I hope you feel good. You really must feel good. It must be purifying. for people that listen to All Things Considered to think that they were part of getting rid of these people. Great job. Way to go, Brownie. You got it done. Yeah. You're so fucking smart. You know everything. But of course, that's what happened in this election. So now we've established following things. You got to get your own people. You can't have any lobbyists. If you do, they got to resign. They can't bring anything to it. So it would, and you have this idiotic argument I see all the time. Well, should the Democrats run to the left? Should they run more to the right? Should they run more to the center? Should they run? You know what I say to these people? You got the runs like diarrhea. Right? I actually agree with Senator Bernie Sanders. I actually agree with the quote progressives unquote, whatever the fuck they are. We should have run more on the minimum wage, and we should have run more on raising taxes on incomes $400,000 a year. And I read, I hope somebody explores this, that Harris didn't want to accept. We were for it, we just never told anybody. Didn't want to run on a minimum wage because her campaign thought that would be, quote, anti-business, unquote. If somebody would have said that to me, I might have punched them right in the fucking mouth. All right? So if you say, word association, Trump, okay, I know the corrupt, treasonous, okay, but to the average voter, southern border, tariffs, trans. But you could definitely come up with 3 words real quick. Try to come up with a word for Harris. Not much. I think had she said America needs a raise, and I'm going to give them one with the minimum wage, and I think that in my experience over a long period of time, there's nothing more popular than raising taxes on rich people to help other people who are not rich. And the idea, if you're thinking about putting together a 2028 campaign, get a lot of really rich people and start a committee. Don't tax you. Don't tax the guy behind the tree. Tax me. And if she would have just said, we did terrible with younger voters, we did terrible with younger voters, another expression I can't stand, but I'll use it, with voters of color. It's such an asshole way to describe people. That everybody that is not white is the same. It's so stupid. But anyway, we did. If we said we were going to raise minimum wage to, I don't care, $15, $16 an hour, and we were going to tax really wealthy people and use the money to help younger people buy a house, put in the first time mortgage, we would have signaled to people that you're there, that we're taking on the powerful special interests, the powerful billionaire class in this country. It's time for them to pony up. The vice president was thinking about going on Joe Rogan's show, and a lot of the younger progressive staffers pitched a hissy fit. Supposedly the campaign said that that wasn't the term de facto, but they did. When you put a campaign together and you hire young people to do work, let me tell you exactly what you tell these people, what I would tell them. Not only am I not interested in your fucking opinion, I'm not even going to call you by your name. You're 23 years old. I don't really give a shit what you think. And let me tell you another huge error, huge fucking error this made, is when people said campaigns need to reflect progressive values. No, they don't. No, they don't. Campaigns are authoritarian by their nature. And if I were running a 2028 campaign and I had some little snot-nosed 23-year-old saying, I'm going to resign if you don't do this, not only would I fire that motherfucker on the spot, I would find out who hired them and fire that person on the spot. I'm really not interested in your uninformed, stupid, jackass opinion as to whether you go on Joe Rogan or not. And there were people that worked in the White House that were protesting because they didn't like the president's policy in Gaza. Well, then get the fuck out of the White House. I'm every time that I think of this, I think of these Columbia protests. I don't want to necessarily, but this person has distinguished themselves. There was a Columbia student, I think her name was Joana King Slutman, who is, quote, a self described expert on progressive and left wing causes. If you want to know why progressive and left wing causes go nowhere in the United States, it's probably a good idea to start with Miss King Slutman, or whatever the fuck her name is, who was such a revolutionary that she demanded that they be fed on the Columbia meal plan. I don't really want to pick on this young woman that much, but to say when you see something like this around a campaign, you get about as far away from it as you could possibly get. Follow what I'm saying? We're not running a democracy. We're not doing inclusion. We're not doing committees. We're not asking opinions. We're doing shit here. So, to all my friends, and maybe not friends, all you Democrats, you marvelously talented people who are thinking about running in 2028, my advice is start thinking about it now. Don't back off. In my opinion, a lot of you should have run in 2024, but for the reasons you chose not to. If we're going to have a really talented figure here, we got to get these people out. We got to get them out early. We got to give hope to people. I would hope we do a kind of mini convention in 2026 and invite some people to just come in and express ideas, because people have no idea how much common sense, deep, profound talent we have in this party. And these people who had to lose the election because of the stupidity that we had in the early part of this decade, my heart goes out for you. All of you served your country and your party with great distinction. You should be remembered, and I'm sorry that these assholes so much contributed to you losing your job. But I guess the progressives now have their dream. We're more of a coastal party, and we've gotten rid of these moderates, and maybe you can all sit around some coffee house in lower Manhattan and celebrate how fucking smart you all are. But I have hope for the future. I think we've got some talented people. Can't wait to see them out there. Let's go get them, guys. Thank y'all.